happened in the 90s.
This is Steve and Matt with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s.
It's as simple as that, people. By people from the 90s who lived in the 90s, for people who love the 90s. Or maybe you just don't know what the fuck you're seeing when you see Full House on TV and stuff. So maybe we're here to sort of explain that for the uneducated
Yeah.
and give our old ass, old man takes on what we remember from these beautiful pieces of art from the 90s, whatever that is.
The 90s. You
I
had to.
mean, mwah.
So, starting off in 1990, January 7th, 1990, we lost Bronco Nagurski. He was a Canadian American football player and a wrestler. He played with the Bears from 1930 to 1937. He was a UCLA coach in 1944. He was a three-time champion in 32, 33, and 43. He was an all-team pro, all second team, anniversary all-time team, all NFL 1930s. Chicago Bears retired as number 3. Just real, real shit.
I mean, they named awards after this man. Like, there's a Bronco Nagurski award, I believe, for college players, or
Yeah.
maybe it's an NFL award. But he was a legend.
Isn't that for the running backs, the Bronco Nagurski award?
I think you're right. And also, just to just to kind of give the man credit, or maybe this is his parents' credit. Maybe they saw into the future. But naming your son Bronco, I mean, something's got to give there. Either he's going to be an athlete, some sort of legendary, like a John Henry type, who maybe just like, beats a fucking machine of some kind. Who knows? But what a loss. I mean, I'm surprised he made it that deep into light, like into the world, If he was born back then and played in the NFL in like the 30s or whatever you said.
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck?
This is back when houses were the cost of ice cream cones now.
Like, what did they do if you broke your leg in the NFL back then? Did they just saw the fucking thing off and just say, sorry?
And they liked it and they loved it.
Yeah. Looks like you're going to be packing meat for the rest of your life, buddy. Sorry about that.
And then you'll end up being Bronco the meat packer.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, he probably, like a guy working at a meat plant named Bronco. I'm not fucking with that guy.
No, dude. He can fix engines with his fucking dick.
He's that kind of guy who will just like sit and like work like on a car with a lit cigarette in their mouth and just like smoke it. But even though it's like burning his eyes, like he's just a man, a guy, a cigar smoker, like maybe a regular cigar smoker to me is what I'm thinking. Chewing tobacco, maybe something gross.
Bronco Nagurski was born with a pack of Marlboro Reds and some Skull under each sleeve, rolled up.
And he never fucked with any sort of lubrication. It was just straight raw, just natural. Like this, I feel like this guy was more of like a man animal type person. Like he was like half bear.
He was a real life Bill Brasky.
Real Brasky.
Whenever he made love to women, he would spit Skull sludge in their face, and they appreciate it because that was Bronco Nagurski.
And they made that ding that they always used to do in like Looney Tunes when people chewed tobacco. Which again, another thing about our childhood. There were guns in the cartoons in the 90s. There were characters that were cartoons that chewed tobacco and spit it. I mean, smoked cigarettes. Mm-hmm. Pepe Le Pew was trying to get laid and he was, getting a little aggressive, but he was also smoking some cigs every once in a while. Which
he was working hard on.
A cocksman will smoke a cigarette every once in a while. You just have to.
Or a cock skunk.
What? I know Dave Chappelle has already covered this, but
Really?
Not a good look. I mean, he definitely had a Pepe Le Pew joke where he's like,
Okay,
God damn, Pepe, God damn.
I do remember that one.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, that's something I definitely miss. Just when I see new shit, like even when they adapt like Ninja Turtles, for example, I've seen like newer versions of that. And it, I don't know, the shit we grew up with, there was a innocence to some of the shit, but then you'd watch like G.I. Joe, and I mean, legit, they had guns in a cartoon. Or if you watch like Home Alone, there's literally guys telling a kid that they're gonna shoot him. Like, nothing would give me more pleasure than to shoot you. Like, Pesci just tells a kid that to his face.
Like, what was Gargamel actually going to do with the Smurfs, dude? Were you going to eat them?
I feel like that was indicated. Like, didn't he have like a cauldron that he was always like stirring, or was that just to see them?
Uh, man, yeah, he did have a cauldron, and he had a cat that he might have done some devious things with. That is, neither here nor there. But
He was a monk, dude. At least he wasn't fucking kids. You know, he was fucking a cat. So
yeah, I just don't know, man. He really doesn't sit well with me. He's pretty creepy. He spends all of his living hours trying to get these little blue things. And dude, there's other kinds of food out there. Is that like
you
how
got
you?
a cauldron. Like, make some soup, bro. Like, get some celery and some carrots. Get an animal. You don't have to just try to kill these little humans, these little
Get
things.
strawny. Yeah, man. Chicken meat.
They're talking to you. Like, to me, if you were about to step on an ant, but like right before you did, it was like, yo, man, please don't. I feel like you might at least give it a second.
Do you think he eats the whole, like the genitals too? Do you think
He eats it. I mean, I feel like it's more of just like a poppet. Like, it's more of just like, he's like sitting there like with a handful of nuts, like almost
so
just
he?
like popping them.
Oh, man. So he's not actually eating fried Smurf. He's eating like Smurf crackling.
I mean, it could be you take your pick. I feel like maybe it's like strawberry. You could cook a strawberry, or you could eat a strawberry. Like, you could do a lot of things with. You could put them in a pie. You could eat them, like you could fry them. You could put them in like a butter sauce over some noodles. There's got to be many different ways to prepare a Smurf. Your guess is as good as mine.
Clearly, Gargamel has all the time in the day to figure out the different menus and remixes of Smurf. I just, dude, watching that now, it's like chickens didn't exist, man. I've never had Smurf, but I'm pretty sure chicken is way better, bro.
I mean, he has a cat, so I'm assuming all the other animals are out there, but he's just choosing. He's infatuated with these little blue. I like. What is a Smurf? Like, is it an alien?
They are
Is it like a gnome?
nuts, like half nuts that the Avatar species.
They
Like
just busted them all over Earth. They were just like, have these.
they are the drip. They're the droplets that came out of the magnums. Like they seeped out of the magnums, and lo and behold, we have Smurfs.
I feel like, first of all, Gargamel, there was other things going on in the castle that you just weren't seeing because the show
Exactly.
obviously was just covering this. But I think I'm with you. There was like there might have been more sinister things happening in this. Like, this might have been some sort of like Epstein thing where he was just one cog in a wheel. Maybe they need them for some kind of sexual gratification. Like, that's the only thing there's so much uh like excitement and Gargamel's part about this that it's either like they taste delicious or they give you like a 15-inch dick. Like,
Yeah.
there's only a few motivations a man can have for this kind of. I mean, he is. It's almost like, what would you call this? It's unhealthy.
Or he could be paying his dues to get into the secret society on some what's that movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman?
Oh, there you go.
Maybe he could be a part of that shit. And like
Well,
the Smurfs are a sacrifice.
yeah, I mean, I definitely could see like, or I mean, I feel like even the Smurfs, like maybe it's just like there's something about watching them sort of fuck. Like maybe it's a voyeuristic thing. I don't know. You've opened up like some sort of can of worms here, Steve. I didn't even really. I was more of a Snork fan myself.
They're,
Um,
they're more cool. I think they don't have Gargamel. I think that's a key factor.
I don't even remember who they had. I don't remember the villain of
Yeah,
Snorks.
me either. Was it a shark?
Was it pollution? Was it like a Captain Planet type thing where it was just like they're putting oil in the water?
On a very special.
My Snork thing, like very weird shit. Also, what came? Obviously, the Smurfs came out first. The balls of the Snorks just to throw that, just to like trample the brand.
Mhm. How dare you challenge the champ?
Whoever created the Smurfs was something when it came on that was a new thing. He was like, these motherfuckers.
Is
I'm
that
about
Hanna
to,
Barbera?
I'm we can look that up, Steve. This podcast has access to the internet. We're already at that level.
Because if it's Hanna Barbera, that's some iconic shit right there, man. Like
I
they
mean,
already like laid down the law of the land, basically.
is Nancy Cartwright Bart?
That's Bart, yeah,
She was a voice on the fucking Snorks, bro.
man.
Okay, man, we're really getting into some shit here. This is actually an American Belgian animated television series, The Snorks.
The Snorks, okay.
Belgian.
American Belgian.
In 1977, Freddie Monnickendam, a Belgian businessman and artist, first made contact with the comics industry when he negotiated the rights for. Oh, I think this guy was heavily involved in Smurfs and then created Snorks. But
Yeah.
I just got to say, how dare you, Freddie Monnickendam? You clearly have no morals, and you stole that. So, fuck you. I don't like the Snorks anymore.
Damn.
The Smurfs guy.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah, I don't. Back to your original question. What was Gargamel up to?
Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot of freaky fuck shit.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's in what I guess is just himself. I don't think did he have like a henchman other than the cat?
Nah, man, it was just him, his cat, and his cloak. There was nothing underneath that cloak. Wow.
Maybe it was just like a crackhead. Maybe it was all just like he was hallucinating these things. That's why he was so infatuated with it.
Yeah, crack was the thing. That
Yeah.
was it still is. Crack seems to be timeless.
I mean, if you walk around where I live, crack seems to be even more in demand than it was in the 80s or 90s. So, salute to crack for withstanding the test of time.
Hey, you still here. You still standing.
Peanut butter and crack sandwich. Well, aside from what Gargamel was doing, what else do you remember? Like, as far as the 90s go, Steve, obviously both of us like it. That's why we're having this podcast. That's why we're starting this. What was it about the 90s other than being a kid? Like, what stands out to you as some like classic 90s stuff?
It's the best of the best, man. The best sitcoms, the best movies. Some of the best wrestling. This is a time when Hulk Hogan, the baby face of a whole industry, the biggest one of them all, man. He becomes the villain, the heel, and that happened in the 90s. And the NWO was so gangster. And this is also a time when the Attitude Era in WWF happened. Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind, Undertaker. It was a good time to be a wrestling fan. It was a good time.
It was a great time to be from the beginning of the 90s to the end of the 90s. I missed out on some of it, but overall, what a decade for that, whatever entertainment or whatever you want to call it.
in sports, man. The best, we saw Michael Jordan. We were able to see, Deion Sanders, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal in their prime, Hakeem Olajuwon, uh,
Mm.
some of the best like ever, man. In
David
music,
Robinson,
David
Larry
Robinson,
Johnson.
a young Tim Duncan, a young Vince Carter, and this was good for
Ah,
college basketball when players stuck around longer. Now it's one and done, and by the time you know who the kid is, he's already in the league. And back then, they would come back for their sophomore and junior year, and it's like they became stars in school. Um, and of course, music, the best rock, the best hip hop, like it's the best of the best, man.
I
Uh,
mean, to me, wrestling was a huge thing for me in I mean, the '90s. I'm trying to. It's hard for me. Sometimes I kind of conflate a lot of the '80s shit, but just Saturday morning cartoons,
yeah.
uh, like shit like Power Rangers, like that kind of classic shit. I feel like all the stuff that we grew up with, like when the '90s started, I was 7 years old, so
Same.
I was like consuming everything that was coming out then. I don't know if Ninja Turtles was like
The early years, yeah.
early, but like the first movie, I remember seeing that shit in the theater, and I'm 30. That's 30 years ago. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So like, I feel like the things that we got to grow up on were created. They were innovative then, and they actually are still controlling a good deal of pop culture now because it's so based off of nostalgia. I mean, we're the people that have the money, quote unquote. Our age group is the ones that are real. They're targeting with like movies and shit. So like they're making Ninja Turtles movies. Wrestling's still big as fuck. People that were wrestlers back then are legends now and still talked about. They're remaking all the shit that we grew up on. So I feel like it's interesting to look back on that time period because it is so instrumental in a lot of the entertainment that everyone enjoys now, whether you come from that era or not. And also, I think it's interesting to compare these things that we saw when we were kids to kind of revisit them because, we've already kind of found this out. You and me just talking about the stuff that we're about to talk about, but also just like watching old shit recently through the pandemic and stuff. It's interesting how skewed your memory can be of some of this stuff. So I think it's interesting to revisit it as an adult and with our taste now to even see like I don't, this shit is stupid as fuck now, or I still love this, or I think that's an interesting aspect of this stuff too.
Yeah, I agree, man. Some of it stands the test of time. Some of them, like you said, man, like you kind of like it's a relic of its time.
I mean,
Uh,
it's crazy what works and what doesn't. Like some of the things you'd be like, there's no way. You watch it like now, like stand-up comedy is like something that I think gets aged a lot. But one thing that this is consistent. I've done it like a lot. I love the guy Martin Lawrence. Like You So Crazy. I don't whatever that came out.
93.
Watch it now. I mean, aside from a couple of what I guess like Me Too type shit, or not Me Too, but just like woke shit, like where you might not say like a specific word or anything. I mean, you're laughing your ass off. Like it just is so fucking funny. So I think like things that even wouldn't normally stand the test of time, like it was so good. And then like the shit we were consuming and getting in the '90s, it was like everything got honed to a fine edge in that decade and like leading up to that to where, like Ace Ventura, Jurassic Park, like we can just like keep going on the like legendary shit that came out in that decade that it's just incredible. It's like it really is the best of the best.
Some of the biggest stars were created or discovered, whatever. Jim Carrey, that's when they were in their prime. Will Smith, Tom Hanks. Um, this is the beginning of Will Ferrell. Uh,
I mean, I heard David Allen Greer talk about just like being around Jim Carrey when Ace Ventura came out.
yeah,
And he was also joking. This I think this was on a Howard Stern interview he did recently. Shout out to David Allen Greer, a true legend himself.
yeah,
But he was like, first of all, it's weird to think that like Jim Carrey would ever be like nervous about something, like especially when you think of how much of a legend he is now. But like when that movie came out, he was not really a known quantity, especially in movies. And even
No.
David Allen Greer was like, I went to the premiere just to be like, because he was so nervous. I wanted to just like be there to laugh so he could like relax a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's like, I thought it was going to be a shit movie. Because I guess he might have actually been up for that with Rob Schneider. Like Rob Schneider might have in an alternate universe been Ace Ventura.
Oh wow.
So like,
So obviously it could have been a shitty movie.
exactly. Well, depending on how much you do or don't like Rob Schneider, but it's interesting to think like, even back then, like shit that we think it's monumental. Like there's nothing that could touch it. Even then, like people thought it was shitty, and like it's so cool, man. And like
Well, I like Rob Schneider, but he's no Jim Carrey.
Rob Schneider's like, I think Rob Schneider to me peaked when he was in SNL and he was like making copies, like that guy. He had those little recurring characters. I feel like Rob Schneider's like a night. He's like a good shot. It's a quick thing. You get in and out with Rob Schneider. If you're watching a Rob Schneider movie,
It's not a standalone.
I mean, Deuce Bigelow. I shout out to Deuce Bigelow 1. I don't know, but I never saw anything beyond that. But Deuce Bigelow 1 was all right. I'll ride with that movie.
Like, man, I might be on a lonely island on this, man, but I feel like he is his generation's Dan Aykroyd. I've never been a Dan Aykroyd guy. I feel like Dan Aykroyd is great because he was always in good ensembles. He's worked with Belushi. He's worked with Eddie Murphy. He's worked with Bill Murray. He's worked with like some of the guys. He's worked with you know a lot of like big deals. And he himself has never like made me like side splitting laugh. I'm sorry. And I feel the same about Schneider.
I feel like maybe his talent is more in the writing because he's been like part of that world. I think he's more of a all around guy. But I'm with you as far as would I just go see a Dan Aykroyd joint? Probably not.
But because he's always with other people you may like, you may have seen quite a few of his movies.
Oh
Because
yeah, I mean,
like, Rob Schneider, he works with Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, David Spade, Chris Rock. You know what I mean?
you're right. If you go back, I mean, like you could say like, what was Dan Aykroyd famous for? Blues Brothers, Ensemble, Ghostbusters, Ensemble. Um, Dude, I'm
Trading Places, and I mean, this is Eddie Murphy.
Ensemble.
Like, Eddie Murphy was like the king in the '80s. So,
yeah, he always. But I mean, again, like no shade to Dan Aykroyd because he has been in like multiple
some
timeless classics, and maybe, but he isn't the. He's not the guy. He's the Scottie Pippen. There's always got to be somebody else.
There you go. Okay. I'll give him props where it's due. He like for the role he was assigned, he filled that role. But like as a leading person, if you're the focal point, it's a no for me. You just don't grab me as much as your contemporaries.
Yeah, it's like, are you gonna go see a movie with Steve Zahn where he's the main guy? No, he's always funny with a bunch of other people. He's funny.
Jack Black or somebody like
yeah. Shout out to Jack Black because who saw his success in the 90s? People don't realize that guy was doing it in the 90s and nobody if you would have told me when I saw him as a skinny guy as like a bit part in Cable Guy that he was going to be a superstar beyond like anybody I really knew, I would have never bet that.
Even before that, when he was doing Mr. Show with Odenkirk and Dave Cross, man.
I feel like Mr. Show was after.
Oh, that was after? Okay.
I think, but I mean, that's right there. But I mean, Mr. Show got him started, and Mr. Show gave him like Tenacious D, and like Jack Black's so fucking cool, dude. The fact that he's so multi-talented, and I don't know, I love that. That guy's like Chris Farley died when I was a kid, and he was always like my main. I loved him. I was fat. I thought I was gonna be like him when I grew up. Luckily, I wasn't, in terms of a lot of things, but I just always thought like Jack Black was like that guy for me when Chris Farley was gone. He was over the
Kinda carried the
top,
torch.
physical, he just was like a phenom.
Charismatic, lovable.
Shout out to him getting his arm blown off in this movie called The Jackal, where Richard Gere plays an assassin. It's an incredible part of the movie, and he looks insane. Jack Black in the 90s looked really creepy. He looked like a guy who was dying of radiation sickness or something.
He looks like the guy that always has resin to smoke, resin bowls.
What up, shit?
Uh,
Get that Resi bullshit.
uh,
That is not fine dining though. No, he's not fine dining material for sure.
nah, man, he hit his stride. I want to say in the 2000s, man. My favorite Jack Black moment is when he punt kicks Ron Burgundy's dog.
And of course, my friend Baxter here.
Well, guess what? Now this is happening.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What are you doing?
That's how I roll.
You know what?
It never gets old, man. Never.
Dude, anything like how me and Jordan were like, as soon as I liked him before Tenacious D, but when I got peeped onto Tenacious D and just started getting heavy into that.
Yeah.
That's really when I got heavy into Jack Black. But I mean, him kicking Ron Burgundy's dog off the bridge, that's like top 10 man moments of movie history, period.
Still hilarious, man.
Oh shit. Well, now that everyone knows what we're all about, Steve, let's go ahead and you want to cover our first segment here, the first show that we watched?
Now, when you buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1, you'll get Sonic 2 absolutely free. Sonic 2 handles stubborn stains, embarrassing bald spots, no problem. It even slices and dices, makes thousands of julienne fries. But wait, you can play it too. This free Sonic 2 is a $54.99 value. You get 2 Sonics for the price of 1. Sonic 2 fits easily into any tackle box. Made from a space-age polymer plastic for years of family fun. And pets love it too. Buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1 and get Sonic 2 free. Act now. Wiener Dog Sweater sold separately.
All right. Well, in 1991, Fresh Prince airs the episode "The Lucky Charm." It's in season 1, and it's guest starring Tom O'Rourke. Tom O'Rourke plays Jameson Winston. No, not Jameson Winston.
I was like, Jamie is Winston. God damn.
And all of his teammates are looking at
Jamie Winston was in fucking Fresh Prince way back in the day, guys.
and all of his teammates were looking at him like, what a fucking tool. Like, what was he trying to accomplish? Was that supposed to be the W or some shit? Like,
what? Where is Jameis Winston now? Is he even playing NFL?
well, he was in the Saints. He was
okay.
backing up Breeze, but I don't know. He might still be there.
He's like Teddy Bridgewater light. He just never got injured,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Man of Florida.
Teddy, what was this guy's name again, though?
His name was Tom O'Rourke, and he played Jameson Whitworth. Totally not Jameson Winston.
It's not the same.
Tom O'Rourke. He is. He was on the tour. He was on the acting circuit in the 90s and into the 2000s. He was in Guiding Light, Growing Pains, 21 Jump Street as Captain Clarence Nelson, and not too many white guys named Clarence. L.A. Law, Life Goes On, Step by Step, Wings, Melrose Place, The Commish, Dream On, Law and Order.
He was on every show in the 90s. This guy is the 90s, dude.
Oh man. Yeah.
What's this guy's name again in real life? Or is that his name? He said his name's Tom O'Rourke?
Tom O'Rourke, yeah. He's no longer with us.
Rest in power, dude. You fucking, how much money did you leave behind?
Hey man, he was a working man. Word to Geddy Lee. And Tom O'Rourke, he plays Jameson Whitworth, Uncle Phil's one of his clients. Uncle Phil is part of the defense team or legal team for Jameson Whitworth. But Jameson Whitworth is he believes in good luck and he believes in lucky charms, and he really creeps the family out. Vivian Banks, Aunt Viv, doesn't think too highly of the man. She thinks he's a creep. He's a peculiar fella.
I mean, she's just shitting on him. She doesn't even have any sort of patience about it. She just like, ooh, that guy, fuck that guy. That's basically her vibe about this dude.
Yes, and he's very superstitious, and but he befriends Will because of a couple coincidences. He thinks Will is his good luck charm, and he lets Will make some major decisions, and hilarity ensues.
And I mean, first of all, let me just say that Whitworth for sure traffics humans in some way. I mean, there's something going on here where this guy's making money like this. And, you know, the thing that stood out, first of all, a guy like Tom O'Rourke, I wish he was alive to just tell the tale of the 90s, because this guy apparently was just hip hopping through the studios in LA, just making it like, get Tom on the phone. We need a white guy. Get Tom on the phone. We need a rich guy. You know, he was living the life, really. I mean, and
he had a certain prototypical look to himself where, you know, he could be used for different stock characters.
yeah, very I'm trying to think of like a very like Sam Elliott type. I bet he went up against Sam Elliott a lot because he's just like a white, dignified mustache. Maybe not Western Sam Elliott, but just that type of dude where it's like he's older, he's rich, he's maybe this is not evil, but I could see him being an evil like billionaire and a lot of shit, you know?
Yeah, or a superstitious client of Uncle Phil. You know, now he first gets on the Will when they're playing golf. And ironically, Will says, "I'm not cool with carrying golf clubs." And yeah, and little did we know he would play Bagger Vance years later.
He played. I feel like Legend of Bagger Vance was based off this episode because all he did was what he does in that movie, which is take a breath, chill, see the golf course, and that's exactly what Mr. Whitworth does. And then, you know, I gotta say, Steve, I'm a golfer. I don't know if you golf. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't.
Nah.
But I'll tell you, if you hit a hole in one, I mean, even if you go putt-putting and you hit a hole in one, it's exciting. I get it. There's a lot of, you know, it doesn't happen a lot. But for a man who's I would assume a multi-millionaire of some kind, to then take whatever that is and say, I'm going to let you make all my decisions because I got a hole in one near you one time. Again, that makes me question what his business is, because there's a guy that's just making decisions like this. I would assume he's taking a lot of L's, because what you haven't said is that before Will was his financial advisor, it indicated that his stuffed dead dog Sparky was his financial advisor. So
he'd take tax advice from his dog. He got hit by a truck. He had his pet dog stuffed and kept him in his office. So he takes a lot of gambles, and you know, that's the life, I guess.
I mean, let's just talk about Whitworth here. Are we talking like an Epstein type dude where you go a little deeper and maybe Will's like at a party? There's, you know, there's some people that are like a little nervous to tell them why they're there, you know, like that type of thing? Or is this all up on the up and up?
Not quite Epstein, but I do know he's a freak. We both know that him and his wife are freaks because after Will laced him with game, he said he had sex with his wife 3 times.
I mean, dude,
this
guy's a legend, dude. First of all, he's taking advice from a younger man, and then he's applying it to dick his wife down. So first of all, that's hard for any man to do, just straight up take advice like that. So.
And this is before Cialis.
What? I mean, and also, I gotta say, this is my conspiracy theory of this episode that kind of ties into what you were saying about Aunt Viv not liking this guy and just sort of having a dismissive attitude.
Yeah.
This is what I think happened. These guys are all rich socialites of LA or in Bel-Air. I think what happened was they're at a party. Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil are hanging out with Whitworth and one of his like thoughty like side chicks. and something weird happens. Like they got into like maybe a little swing situation, and Aunt Viv just wasn't feeling it. So I think like a lot of the animosity you're feeling was because maybe there was like a weird orgy situation that happened, and it could have been like an Eyes Wide Shut thing. We were talking about that earlier. So
is Jameson Whitworth and Gargamel knocking at the door?
I mean, and I gotta say, if Uncle Phil's in an orgy, I mean, visually, it's not a great thing. But if you hear a man with like that kind of voice just busting, I feel like that's got to just sound like it's like a lion roar or something. Like
he's the overweight lover, man. This is James Avery we're talking about, the voice.
You don't think he's doing like some Ving Rhames Froggy style baby boy stuff? Because I feel like he's got the Chris Farley like athleticism, even though he's heavy. Where maybe that's happening. I'm throwing that out there. I think him and Aunt Viv's hot, so she's got. It can't just be the money.
No,
no,
man. He has the agility of Chris Farley. I could see it.
Yeah, sexually, maybe not. Like he ain't playing basketball, but like when Viv's like, Phil, come upstairs,
Yeah,
it's basically like that meme that was going around last year, just that big black dude with like a fat hog sitting naked on the side of the bed. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What?
No.
Steve, you were alive last year. Are you telling me you don't remember that? The guy sitting on the bed. I think he's dead now. God damn it. I'm not going to share it on the screen. I'm not. We'll dismiss this. Never mind.
Stricken from the record. Fun fact about James Avery, I realized he was the voice of Junkyard Dog too, back in that Hulk Hogan cartoon back in the day.
Really? I feel like he was. What's also weird? There's a guy who is a voice actor named Kevin Clash.
That's the guy that does Elmo, right?
I think so, but if you look, I think if I'm thinking of the right guy, Kevin Clash almost looks like Uncle Phil.
Okay.
And Kevin Clash was the voice of Shredder in the cartoon. Kevin Clash was Elmo, or he is Elmo. You're right.
Okay.
But there's another king of the '90s, Kevin Clash.
Yeah, now he's the pariah. One of the pariah.
What did he do?
Oh, he got caught up years ago for diddling children. There was one of his young assistants accused him of doing some naughty things.
His young assistant?
It was, I don't know if it was an assistant or
Kev, come on, man.
Yeah, he was doing some unfavorable things to someone who didn't accept those advances. Kevin Clash.
Let me just say that Kevin Clash still works for the Jim Henson Company, though. So apparently it couldn't have been that bad. But he did resign from his role on Sesame Street in 2012. So
yeah, PBS can't have that.
And also, I gotta say, sorry, Kevin Clash, and sorry, Uncle Phil. Kevin Clash, I thought he was heavier. He's not. So never mind what I said.
Okay,
he's just going off the rails, Steve. I'm sorry. I'm just throwing out disinformation out here. Kevin Clash is fat. Uncle Phil is a part of. He can do Froggy style. I mean, these are things we're going to talk about.
Man, Kevin Clash had a sexual relationship with Sheldon Stevens when Stevens was 16. There's a lot to be said.
Come on, you can't be on Sesame Street and be doing this shit. What is going on? I mean, fucking Kevin Clash. God damn it, Kev. Back to fucking Whitworth, dude. Other than, so he gets Will in his clutches. He starts like using him as some sort of lucky rabbit's foot, right? So he hits a hole in one. He's like, holy shit, Will, I forget the exact chain of events, but then all of a sudden Will's going to his office. And he's sent there by Uncle Phil because Uncle Phil's worried that the relationship's weird.
Yeah.
and not in like a sexual way. Like Whitworth is just trying to use Will for like financial advice, which is insane because he's a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So Will goes to his office. Again, it's that very like Tim Burton-ish Batman Returns office where it's just like some weird white, you know, business multi-millionaire businessman's office. He's got his dead dog on the shelf. He's got some weird stock computer, and Will tries to talk him out of being his financial advisor, but every word out of Will's mouth is yet another reason why this guy wants to invest. He says a number. It's Whitworth's favorite number. You know,
17.
So-
That's like a sign that
I feel like he's satanic. I feel like I'm changing it. I think Whitworth is into Satanism. So like all these signs and all this like shit where it's like, oh, this is my favorite number. I'm gonna do 17 million in investments. Like maybe that's some weird like Satanist shit he figured out.
yeah, that it's a part of that cult. That they are a satanic like S&M you know, kind of deal on some Eyes Wide Shut shit where
Oh
they
my
slaughter
God.
hogs heads.
Will, get out of there. But anyway, so Will, instead of going out of leaving this office and just saying, you know what, man, I'm 17, I can't do this. Will comes back looking like Gordon Gecko from Wall Street. He's fucking dripped out. He's got his like 3-piece suit on. He's got a brick phone. He's living that Bel-Air lifestyle. And he just fully, I guess, maybe like got inducted into the Illuminati or whatever, but he's now a multimillionaire's financial advisor simply because he's lucky.
Yeah. And Uncle Phil demands that, you know, he call this shit off, man. In this, man, this is ridiculous. It's
And Uncle Phil's like, I can't, he's not the judge yet. See,
No.
I always remember Uncle Phil as a judge of some kind, but no, he's just a fucking guy. He's a lawyer. So he's all about saving the account, even though this guy's like clearly some kind of whack job.
Yeah. But at this point, all bets are off, and it's like, hey, we gotta just cut this cord now. And Uncle Phil demands that he ends all of this. But instead, Jameson has Will deliver the news that Uncle Phil is fired. You know, we're not going to do business anymore. You know, and I feel like that's kind of cowardly. You had Will tell his uncle that.
You have are a millionaire. So I assume if you're a millionaire, having a law office on retainer for, I think they said it was $20 million a year.
Something crazy.
I feel like you can't just sever a tie like that, you know, off just, and you definitely can't do it in that way where it's like, I know we have a business relationship, but you know what? Hey, 17-year-old kid, go tell your uncle we ain't doing business anymore. That's $20 million deal we got. Fuck that. Tell him. Like, what?
Man, low-hanging fruit. I swear, those satanic sheep.
I mean,
that's just a show of their character right there.
and also, here's what I hated, and this is what I thought was so hilarious, and we can discuss what the possibilities were. But of course, this goes bad, right? You know, Will buys into it, but Uncle Phil, the mighty fucking badass that he is, he's like, no, this shit ain't happening, and they get it, they put an end to it. But as that's happening, Whitworth starts losing money, obviously.
Yeah.
And the coward basically, like, I don't know what he was going to do. I mean, we've indicated he might be a Satanist. He's obviously a billionaire. He might have had Will killed. But he's like, hey, kid, I'm losing money. You owe me money. And it's like,
14
what?
million. You owe me 14. Like, dude, like, but Will has 5. He had 5 on it. So
I mean, he tried to hook the guy up with some cash, but here's in my head, what I was asking was, if this guy makes money and Will's the financial advisor, does he get money? Well, if it went well, would Will be compensated, do you think?
yeah, is this a per diem, a commission of sorts?
Was it just the suit? Like,
So,
because the suit was fly. I mean, I would love that suit just now, but you know, that's just not where we're at. I don't know, but I feel like maybe this could have gone a different way. Like if this was LA Law at this point, Whitworth closes the door and like slices Will's throat or something.
yeah.
It might happen. He could have gone full Gargamel and just straight put him in a soup or something and just fed him to Uncle Phil. Who knows?
But because of Uncle Phil, they had a come to Jesus moment, and he set some straight. Like, look, dude, all of your ideas are asinine. The superstitious shit has to go. And basically stood on his own. Like, he said some shit, some real shit to Jameson Whitworth, and he stood on that shit.
And I like at the end, you know what? It all worked out because
He got a job back.
It's like, you know what, Phil? You tried to talk me out of this insanity. You're my lawyer again. So I wouldn't. Does he? I think even Uncle Phil at the end's like, it's all about that bread. Like he has like some kind of sentence, like statement about that at the end. Like even if this guy's crazy, like
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to do business with the guy anymore. I'd be like, if this is how you are, I really don't want to represent you because you're probably going to do some insane shit. And I'm going to have to try to get you out of jail. But
Well, Uncle Phil told him his birthday, and he was like, "Oh, your birthday's."
that's what it was. That's what it was.
You're a Capricorn, and he was like, and that's what he was like. That's one of my other lucky signs or some shit. And then Vivian was like, "But you're an Aquarius for such and such money. Shit, I'll be a Capricorn." Yeah.
We living in that mansion, Viv. Shut the fuck up. Second. Here's what I wanted to say about this episode, though, that I forgot. I mean, as a kid, you don't really like register this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Will and Carlton were supposed to be teenage kids, 17, and they look like they're 40 years old. I mean,
it's mustaches.
It's tough, man. It's really tough to just like. If I was at their high school, I'd be definitely intimidated, even by Carlton. I'd be like, this is a full-grown man. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do here.
You in the 10th grade? You look like you got warrants.
Yeah, dude. Like, did you get a divorce? Like, are you okay?
Man.
The Jack situation where you're just like hyper aging or?
How the fuck you in grade school with liver spots?
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, I noticed that. That's what jumped out to me. I got to say, on Viv, just looking fine as hell. I'm sure she still looks pretty good. I didn't watch the reunion, but I want to. I just haven't done it yet. So, but I got to say, this was a wild episode. But to me, in terms of does it hold up? Yes, I was laughing my ass off the whole time.
Yeah, same.
The
season is the best.
It's just like Fresh Prince is one of those. It's like Martin to me, or this is gonna sound very weird that this is my range of shows, but you know what? I'm gonna fall on the sword. I also think Frasier is also a timeless classic. You can say what you want, but
I'd take your word for it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Fresh Prince, Martin. These and Frasier in the same mix. It doesn't really seem like the right, like something's wrong there, but
Yeah, I totally wasn't expecting you to say Frasier.
I'm telling you, Home Improvement. But like, even that, I can't really tell you if that holds up. But like, Martin definitely does, and Fresh Prince in that same vein there's really no drop off. There's some references and like obviously the fashion and stuff, but I was loving this shit. It was a blast from the past. I haven't watched a lot of Fresh Prince in a long time, so I loved watching. One of the season one, dude. Right from the get go, this show was just killing it.
It was, man. It's if it's not my favorite season, it's one of them. And shout out to Carlton's purple sweater in the opening scene. I know it's called the Fresh Prince, but there are times when each cast member is wearing some dope shit. And Carlton's purple sweater, like he's worn a couple different things that were like, dude, I could rock that shit.
I mean, here's the weird thing now. Like now, some of the shit he was. I mean, obviously he wore a lot of like fucking suits and shit, but I think you'd be surprised if you went back. There's probably like a lot of fucking like fashion forward people that are wearing shit he wore in that show, and it's like high fashion now. You know, you're like cool if you wear it.
He had a couple fly ass polos, man.
I mean, as a fat guy, I love rocking polos. Polos hide the fat better than a lot of things. Not that Carlton, Alfonso Ribeiro, like that he's good, man. He's like solid. Me, I was rocking a polo for dip. It wasn't for fashion. It was like that's what they sold at the Big and Tall. So
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. But salute to the fashion. I mean, to me, the standout was Will's suit. You know, I find a nice tailored suit, very fly, the brick phone, the Gordon Gecko look. I enjoyed that. So
Yeah. Takes you back to a good time.
yeah, man. Cocaine, Pizza Hut, Ninja Turtles, you know, a nice ecto cooler, a nice tall, cool ecto cooler in your glass. High C, dude. The Ghostbusters fucking High C.
Dude, they got to bring that back. I was told they have, but I have yet to see it in person. You know, I'm sure it's at a Piggly Wiggly or, you know, whatever area market you're around, Kroger. It's got to be. I mean,
Please bring it back. If it's not back, bring it back. I don't even drink High C, but I will buy a case of Ecto Cooler if you bring it back.
If they could keep bringing back this rinky-dink ass McRib that tastes like barbecued napkins, they can definitely bring back the Ecto Cooler.
The only thing that you should be eating at McDonald's is a fillet of fish. Okay?
Dude, I will eat a fish's pussy before I eat a McRib.
I've never had a McRib, dude. I'm out of that game. I never had that. I mean, I'll take a 20-piece McNugget to the face, but
Oh, dude, in one sitting.
I saw when we went past one time, I think we got a shake or something last year. We got a shake, but I think I saw they had a 50-piece McNugget. And I was thinking to myself, like at my fattest, I would eat a 20-piece nugget, a large fry, and a large drink. But if you put a 50-piece McNugget in front of that version of me, I probably would have eaten it. And I would have been looking like Jabba the Hutt by the time we got to college, dude.
Lay off me, I'm starving.
Yeah.
Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you. Happy together.
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo. Introducing Super Smash Brothers, where all your favorite characters go toe-to-toe in one 4-player star-studded slam fest, only on Nintendo 64.
Okay, so the following year, January 7th, 1992, Full House airs the episode Play It Again, Jesse. You want to walk us through that, Matt?
Yeah, so first of all, shout out John Stamos, one of universally one of the sexiest men ever. So Uncle Jesse,
man, got to.
This is a very Uncle Jesse heavy episode, but in this episode, Aunt Becky, Jesse's wife, is going back to work after maternity leave, leaving Uncle Jesse to be Mr. Mom to his kids while his wife goes back to work. So instead of just showering himself in pussy juice on a daily basis, Uncle Jesse's married and has a kid, and I feel like he loves that. You know, he got his rocks off back in the day. He fucked maybe 1 million women. 1,000,001 was Becky, and he loved her. So, you know, he got his family, but now she's back to work. Uncle Jesse's got to clean up the house, cook, you know, keep the kids, go to the store. He's Mr. Mom.
The rippers are gone. His mullet is gone.
Yeah. The leather jackets in the fucking back of the closet. The condoms that he never used anyway have been tossed. All the black books that he had, the numbers, the panties that were thrown at him, they're gone. It's a memory, and he's suffering, Steve. Uncle Jesse's having a moment of crisis here where he even says it to Becky later on in the episode. He's like, it's fine that you make the money. but I gotta make some money for this family. I'm a fucking man. He doesn't say it like that, but basically that's his vibe.
I felt for Uncle Jesse throughout this episode. This was borderline a very special episode
I
because
mean, I feel like you said it best when we talked about this the other day. This was Uncle Jesse getting his groove back, Steve.
yeah,
He'd been rocked. He's been sort of rocked off kilter. You know, he's got the kids. He's got this new life. The Rippers. He's not out there ripping through the fucking USA pussy and music wise. He's not getting the deals. The money's not there. You know, it's just not happening for Uncle Jesse. And I feel like through this episode, even through the emasculation, even through getting a denial from the record company on his song or whatever deal he was trying to work out,
his jingles weren't jangling.
nothing. I mean, nothing's working for this man. Like he's hit rock bottom. So, you know, he's talking to his kids. He's helping fucking Joey out with his fucking bitch ass neck. Joey, basement dwelling Joey, comes out of the basement. He's got a neck problem. That's his story arc, is his neck hurts.
Yeah, because he jacks off too much and plays with his puppet.
I feel like it's not that. I feel like what it is when he's peeping into Uncle Jesse's window, he has to like twist his neck and beat off. And it's just like such an extreme angle that he has to get that's what happened. You know, he had just had a tough bust.
Man, he was doing that erotic he was doing that erotic asphyxiation shit when it was still underground.
I mean, cut it out, Joey. Cut it out. Just stop. So just to get it out, we can just get out of Joey's situation because this is one thing I noticed in this episode, Steve. Joey, the character, I don't like him. He's out. If it was my Full House, he'd be the fuck out.
Oh man, but he's your childhood buddy.
Yeah, but still, there's weirdness. You got kids. He's got a weird pedo vibe. So obviously, what did they do? They threw him in the basement. All right then and there, you've already done what you can. But he's just, I don't like the vibe. I got kids if I'm Danny Tanner or Jesse at this point. So to me, Joey, you got to go. You got to go back to the fucking Castro district. You got to go back to the Tenderloin, whatever in San Francisco, and you got to find yourself an apartment somewhere. We can't help you anymore. So that's my verdict. Sorry.
It's
sorry,
not,
Dave Coulier fanatics, but
yeah,
I'm not buying what he's selling.
I was never huge on him. I think maybe as a kid I tolerated him, but you know, we could do without him. I mean, he's not bringing anything besides Mr. Woodchuck to the table.
I mean, I don't need some guy who's the equivalent of a cruise ship comic to be living in my basement. You know, whatever you're doing, it ain't successful. I need your ass out of my basement. So while Joey is working on his fucked up neck, Jesse's trying to wrestle with his masculinity, his future, what his role in the family other than just to be a stay-at-home dad.
He's got to get his foot back. He's got to get his sense.
And he doesn't want, this isn't about going out and fucking 1,000 chicks just to feel that rush again. He just needs to go out and play that fucking music. He needs to feel that music inside of him again. And while he's at it, he needs to get a little bit of money. So what does he do? He says, you know what? LA doesn't want me. San Francisco doesn't want me. The record industry doesn't want me. I'm going with the Diplomats.
Dipset.
And we're talking even before Cameron. Like this is Dipset, 1940s Dipset. The Diplomats.
Nope.
I mean, and salute. And what does he do? He goes in and he brings 1,000% increase in sex to this, I guess, lounge act is what you would call it.
At the San Francisco airport, and so like I didn't even know that was a thing at any airport where they had live bands performing.
Just a lounge act. I mean, this is apparently just a lounge where, you know, Jesse's there. He's hamming it up. You know, he's doing the lounge lizard thing where he's like, hey, what's up? Do you look like you just got a divorce? Oh, like he's doing like sort of that vibe. But I gotta say, he's obviously an accomplished, really well put together musician because, he's been a ripper, right? He's been there. He's been Axl Rosing it. He's been shredding fucking guitar, just drenched in pussy juice. But then he throws on the lounge coat. He goes to the piano and he blends right in with the Diplomats, which I feel is like, I'm not a musician by trade, but I feel like that's got to be pretty hard to do. And I mean, it's like nothing. You just go there and he's basically the main component to the band.
He had a great resume. He was the poor man's Bon Jovi, but that was enough to get him the gig, man. And not only that, but not only was he trying to get into his groove, but Stephanie was trying to get in her older sister's clothes.
Weird. I mean, that was a weird way to say it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was a weird way to say it. Now that you bring attention to it, but, DJ said, "Bitch, stay the fuck out of my closet. Don't wear any of my clothes." But Stephanie's like, "Fuck that shit. I got middle child syndrome, so I'm gonna do exactly what you told me not to do. I'm gonna wear your purple sweater, and when we go to the grocery store with Uncle Jesse, I'm gonna pour some mustard on it, accidentally."
No, it wasn't. I gotta say, that squirt. That was no accident, bro. That's middle child, just hatred right there. Oh, I can't have this fucking sweater, bitch.
No, you can't, because I'm the older sister, and I just said you can't. And Stephanie does it anyway, and they go to the grocery store with Uncle Jesse, and Uncle Jesse's doing his stay-at-home dad shit. It's the two boys, so he's watching his kids, and he's babysitting his two nieces. He runs into a guy.
BTK Killer.
What's the guy's name? He runs into
the BTK Killer.
George. Yeah, his name was George. And George is played by David Breen, who's actually from Ohio. And David Breen.
Shout out OH, baby.
Ohio. And George saw Jesse on that morning's Wake Up San Francisco. And he was like, "Hey, it's an honor to meet another stay-at-home husband." He was like, "No, don't call me that shit. You say that shit again, I'll put 5 to your face, ho."
And he almost did. He almost was like, "What, bitch? What'd you just say to me?"
Put some respect on my name. I'm Jesse from Jesse and the Rippers. And he's just kind of like, "Oh yeah, whatever, stay-at-home husband." And so he's just having the hardest time right now. He's losing his soul. And
sad, dude. That's the bottom right there, where some pedo looking stay-at-home dad's like, "You'll get used to it." It's like, shut up, you fucking chud.
Yeah, dude. You don't know who I am.
Jesse, do you know who the fuck I am? I was a ripper, bitch. I'll rip you the fuck up right now. You could see that in his eyes.
Straight up.
He couldn't. What was he gonna do? He's got his kids and a whole nother family's worth of kids, which, can I just say, like, that's irresponsible on Danny Tanner's part. You're gonna make this motherfucker take around all your kids too?
For real, man.
What the fuck, dude? I'm Jesse. Like, I'm only one man. I might be the maximum. I might be the man, but I'm not.
I'm human.
5 kids deep. I can't handle this.
This is only some temporary shit. Now, I got other things I need to do.
Yeah.
Like,
do you see these
kids every day? You know what I mean? Like, I hope y'all don't expect that.
To me, what I found more sad was that he had to eat all that, and just like on top of all this that's happening, right? We got Jesse, the ultimate cocksman, struggling. His wife's going back to work. They got kids. He ain't getting solid sex. It's happening, but for Jesse, like, it's not.
Dude,
it's like putting $5 of gas in a car. It's like,
dude, did you pay attention to Aunt Becky's wardrobe in the first scene when she comes out ready for her job?
Was it the green outfit?
Yes, dude. She's dressed like Jacqueline Kennedy, and this is 1992. And I look at women who dress like that in modern times as people who have boring sex. So Jesse's definitely not hitting it like he.
Are you kidding me? She's not doing the stuff. She's not doing the real stuff that he had. Because I mean, you got to think about it. People like you and me, and I feel like I've had some great experiences sexually. But like a guy like, let's say, Axl Rose, for example, or somebody like that.
Yeah.
When like, what haven't you had done to you? So it's like if you're going even like a doggy style situation, which I feel for like a married couple, even sometimes that might be a little bit weird. Like he's got to negotiate that. Where it was like he could look at Becky at any point and be like, "Lady, I had 6 chicks just straight doing fucking Cirque du Soleil on this. Like, what is this? You're just blowing on it. Like this isn't happening. You're mushing it at this point."
Are we really going to do missionary every time?
Yeah, can we at least do like just get on top one, like something? I'm Jesse Katsopoulos. Jesse can't stop this dick, okay?
Legit.
But what I'm saying is that this ultimate man can't get it. He's like everything's off kilter, right? Sex, life, everything, and Danny Tanner at the same time can't. He's getting too much pussy. He's got a hottie. She's about to leave to go to Chicago because she was Aunt Becky's replacement on their daytime talk show.
Yeah, when she was on maternity leave.
So Danny, at this point, you indicated that Jesse was on the morning show. Well, the reason he was doing that was that Aunt Becky was coming back. And in that same segment where Aunt Becky was coming back, Danny was saying goodbye to this woman who he's fallen in love with, who is Aunt Becky's replacement. Yeah. And something that struck me about this, like, especially when he was saying like the goodbye on the TV show, is that they basically almost fucked on live television.
Yeah, I caught that. Like they were basically going in for the smooch, and it's like, dude, this day and age, man, I don't know what goes down in San Fran, but
guys, let's keep it professional. Regis and Kathy Lee, it wasn't like she went down on him his last day. It was just like, see ya.
Although she totally should have, because it's Regis Philbin. But
I love this dick suck. Like, imagine if he got his dick sucked on the line. That would have been. I mean, Regis, shout out to Regis. Rest in peace, I think, because, I mean, that would have been great. But anyway, Danny Tanner almost fucks this woman and then emotionally manipulates her into giving up her dream of hosting a show to be the weather lady on their show so she can stay in San Francisco. So I got to say, in terms of this episode of me analyzing behavior, I say what I'm seeing is Jesse, selfless, sexual being, struggling, but on his way back. Danny Tanner, he's a manipulator. He's creepy. He does really perverted sexual shit. That's where the vibe I got is that if he's willing to almost like fuck on camera, what he's doing behind the scenes really fuck. Like what Joey's doing is on this level. And he's under the stratosphere,
because I think she just really makes Danny Tanner's jeans jump.
Yeah. Well, she's the only one who will do. It's one of those situations where it's like some guy who's only had sex once in his life and he's like 30, 40 years old. Yeah. He ain't going to let that go. You know what I mean? So like, to me, what it is he almost has made sex like love, and he thinks this woman loves her, but she's like, Danny, thanks for the dick, but I'm trying to go to Chicago. And he's like, no, please don't, I love you. And he's not emotionally manipulating her, because I don't remember all of Full House, but I don't think Danny ends up with what's her name, Victoria.
But he did say that it's okay, like, because he cares about her that much. He was like, hey, I insist, like, this is your dream. Okay. Like, I insist you go to Chicago. And she was just like, you sure? All right.
But it was more like, I guess you can go to Chicago, but I'll miss you. It's like he's guilt tripping her into making the decision he wants her to make. You know what I'm saying?
I like to see the good and
okay.
Because she didn't want to go. she liked him that much, but he was like, no, I insist, like, this is what you want to do, like, don't do this over me. And like that takes a big man
Yeah.
to accept that, because like you said, Danny, he wasn't getting action. It's been some time. He's widowed. He raised 3 daughters, so he's a dad. He's a working dad, so he can't really go out to the San Francisco clubs and kick it. So he found somebody at his job, which I'm sure a lot of single dads, that has to be the case.
Bad move, Danny. Bad move, bud.
Help, but he did, and it was real though, because I feel like the sentiments were shared.
Well, I mean, she did end up at the end, and I'll say this. This whole episode culminates in the lounge where Jesse is playing with the diplomat. So everyone goes to see him play to support. So there's one notch on the belt for Aunt Becky. She does go to support him. I will say she's very dismissive of his bad mood and just his expression of he feels emasculated. She seems to kind of dismiss that. But you know, they all show up. Jesse's killing it. He even tries to get the diplomats to get a little rip in their system. And they're a little, you know, they're older. It's a little too old. But he gets them right to that edge. And I feel like another guy with the diplomats, they wouldn't even been going that far. But for Jesse, they're like, I need to get some pussy, Jesse, real quick before I go to the rest home. I need a little extra strange.
They helped each other. Jesse needed them. They needed Jesse. Jesse was the spark, to get their groove back, the diplomats. Word to Joel Santana. And, as they're doing that, they play that rock and roll tune, and the crowd is lit. Everybody gets out their seat. They do their thing. And, Joey gets his neck back. And he also probably got some neck from the lady he was dancing with. And
he was dancing with, wasn't he dancing with Becky?
He had a dance partner.
Okay, well, hey, my bad, Joey. But to be honest, that woman's probably dead. She fixed his neck, and then he took her out back and fucking killed her in the basement.
Yeah, after he got his neck.
Yeah.
I gotta cut you out.
I got a stiff neck. God damn it, Joey. Put your dick back in your pants. See, that's probably more of his vibe. He's that guy that just pulls his dick out, but it's like not even funny. It's like, dude, come on.
He's the inspiration for Louis C.K.
Yeah, dude. I mean, here's the thing though, Steve. As a guy who finds humor in all things, I'll say this, and I'm a married man. Pulling your dick out every once in a while, with somebody where it's not going to get you a charge. Like, I'll do it with my wife, where I'll just be like, hey, honey, does this look funny? And she'll be like, what are you talking about? I'll be like, this, and it'll just be like my nutsack on my wrist or something.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's funny.
That's what we signed up for. It's perfectly fine in the comfort of your own home or in the state of Georgia or Florida.
I mean, like I wish I had the competence in college just to be doing that, because with a bunch of your buddies in college, great times. Like, that's when you should be doing it.
Yeah, I'm so glad we didn't have smartphones when we were.
I mean, I would already be in jail, and I would have no future, and I would,
Oh my God. So many self-incriminating. We're not going to get off on that.
Yeah, I mean, that happened in the 2000s, Steve. That didn't happen in the 90s. So we don't have to talk.
So yeah, man, that was Full House. Played again, Jesse.
I feel like overall though, like as far as this holding up, I'm an older person. I'm not necessarily. I think that what would be the audience if I was like my age when this came out.
Yeah.
But gotta say, maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but I was into this episode. Maybe it's because we're creating like this alternate personality for Uncle Jesse, where he is like this ultimate man and not this clean cut G-rated version of Uncle Jesse that is on the TV show. This is the story I have in my head.
But it's for that same reason. This one doesn't sit well with me, because I prefer that era of Full House when he had the mullet and he was rocking with the band.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Beach Boys, Uncle Jesse, dude, on the drums, just fucking hair billowing.
And I gotta add, man, Michelle at this point is starting to become annoying. Watching it now, like this, like she always has some like little retort or little witticism to say, like "shut up, stay in a child's place."
She's a fucking snitch, also. It's like, shut up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
stole her fucking sweatshirt.
She said she said DJ's going to have a cow 3 times on this show, and it got a huge pop from the audience. I'm like, this is how corny we were in 1992.
It's like if you just had a kid in a show and you could get them to say like one sentence, it's like, oh, it's like, okay, all right. And then, you know what's even less impressive about it? There were 2 of them. So when one of them was acting like a piece of shit, you're like, get the other one.
Yeah.
Get fucking Mary Kate in here. This fucking bitch won't say anything. Ashley, shut the fuck up.
Here's some pudding.
Yeah, like go learn something. Go do something. Like I'll say this. Here are the characters that jump out at me that I do not like on the show. I've said Joey, and I'm with you on Michelle. Michelle is there to be like, here's vintage Michelle. Remember that episode? I think Joey was moving out or leaving, and she gives him the pig thing. Like she's like, she's like a little baby. And she gives him like, I think it's like a piece of her wallpaper. It's just like something that's in her room.
Yeah.
And there's a moment of like emotion. That's what she's there for. And like once she started getting older, like now me, I don't like it. When I was a kid, maybe I thought it was funny or whatever, but
yeah, like that is vintage Michelle, because you know she had the cute factor, but that was the purpose of Jesse's twin boys, because like you know, all of those shows when there's a youngest child, they get older, they go through that ugly phase, then they find another like younger character, like you know, little Nicky or cousin Nicky, I mean, or Michelle, or you know,
Leo DiCaprio in Growing Pains,
or that he was like a late season, one of the later season additions, because
they age out. It's like eventually Michelle's going to be tall and like a normal kid, so we got to get Jesse's kids, we got to get them. Now they're the babies. Now they can say the Michelle lines, and Michelle can say the Stephanie lines, and Stephanie can start saying the DJ lines.
Yeah.
DJ's just like out. She's good, you know. But I got to say, I mean, I don't want to go into it because we're talking about a young Stephanie, but old Stephanie now, Fuller House Stephanie, love you.
That's the party, and so do those titties.
My wife is saying, cut it out. I don't think she likes me talking about Stephanie's titties, but babe, I'm sorry.
I'll do the talking about Stephanie Tanner's titties.
I mean,
bless
here's where this is the comparable, and I'm, you know, maybe we don't want to end on the titties discussion. Maybe we do. I like it. But here is the comparable set of titties to me that was like an infatuation and sexiness level. So we got Stephanie, whatever her name is. What's her name? Jodie Sweetin.
Jodie Sweetin.
I'm going to say that instead of Stephanie. Jodie Sweetin or Stephanie McMahon. That battle of the titties, when Stephanie McMahon, vintage Stephanie McMahon, when she was like first becoming like an NFL or WWF diva and like character.
Yeah.
I mean, Steph.
I gotta go Stephanie Tanner, because she likes to party.
I mean, she does. She's DJ. It's very confusing, but she's also quote unquote DJ Tanner. She's Stephanie DJ Tanner because she is a DJ in the future.
Really? So she likes going to like house shows and stuff. Okay.
That's her profession. My wife watched that show. I've caught a couple episodes, but you know, it's just not my vibe. And but I mean, tune in for Stephanie, because
yeah, they should have called Fuller House Fuller Bra.
Fuller Bosom.
Yeah, with Stephanie Tanner being the focal point, because those titties are stars.
I want to make a movie that's just her going to a Renaissance fair in costume, just straight jugged out, you know, real authentic to medieval times, you know?
Yeah, a Miller Boyette production. But yeah, man.
Hell yeah, Steve. I mean, other than that, I love this, dude. So this is episode 1, guys.
Pilot.
Steve, how do you feel, man? How do you feel about this experiment?
I feel like this is the genesis of the biggest thing since the OJ case.
I mean, speaking of the 90s, we gotta have an OJ. We gotta have an OJ episode at some point.
Yeah, man. What a movie within itself.
Wait, he did something other than Naked Gun?
Right.
What else is he famous for other than being great in slapstick comedies, Steve?
And running in airports and Avis commercial. Black is OJ.
But I love it, dude. I mean, I think we'll call it on this. If you're good, I think we got. Unless you have anything to say about that Uncle Jesse or just his sex appeal, anything to add before we close this out?
Oh man, Uncle Jesse's one of the gods of Uncle Kingdom in the TV phenomenon, whatever, however you want to say it. But I also want to add that wasn't even DJ Tanner's fucking sweater. She's a lion ass cunt, and that was actually Kenny Gibbler's sweater that she borrowed months ago. So that's why Stephanie.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like these kids, like they need Jesse, and they need Jesse to pop off and be like, "Shut the fuck up." You know what I've seen? You ever seen a speculum used before? That used to be what we did all the time. I've seen some shit.
Man,
I'm a ripper.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I enjoyed this. This is a pilot episode. It happened in the 90s. And yeah, man, tune in, all of that.
Oh yeah. So we'll get all the shit set up. So like as far as the social media and stuff, that's still going, but as soon as we have all that information, we'll put it out there. But
yeah,
we got to keep this one going, Steve. This is a burner, bro. There's too much 90s shit. We got a lot to cover. I mean, yeah, episode 1 was just a banger, so
a whole heap of shit. But yeah, man.
All right, dude.
That does it, man. I'm Steve G. Oh, and also, hey, man, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, go for it.
Oh man, make sure to check out our sister shows, Over the Culture and Matt.
Oh yeah, Ain't Life Funny with me and my buddy Aaron. It's a great show. So we love if you guys listen to all that shit too. But please listen to this. If you love the 90s, we're going to give you ways to reach out to us. Let us know what you think. And hell yeah, Steve. We'll see you next time for a little more 90s action. Episode 2.
All right, man.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.